stuff that also matters, especially on Google Play side, is the app size, because there are lots of emerging markets where Android is dominant and people just don't have good enough connections, but they actually want to play games and money. So the better job you do at optimizing your game, the higher chances you have to be downloaded.
Welcome to Mobile Growth Pancakes, a podcast by Storemaven. We break down how and why mobile apps grow. In each episode, we invite a mobile growth expert onto the show to break down a specific mobile growth strategy, how it worked, why it worked, and what they would do differently. I'm your host, Esther Schatz.
Hey everybody, and thank you for joining another episode of Mobile Growth Pancakes. I'm your host, Jonathan Fishman. I'm VP Marketing here at Storemaven. And today I'm really excited to be here today with Jevgen, Head of ASO at Tilting Point. Hey, what's up?
Hey, nice to be here. Long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Where are you at right now?
So I've been in Barcelona for 3 days. I came here from my hometown in Ukraine to chill, to change the atmosphere from winter to, I don't know, a warmer winter, I guess, and to catch up with the colleagues. But this is kind of postponed right now because of all of the COVID cases. So maybe next week or the week after that.
Yeah, I hope that that by the time that you're listening to this episode, COVID, this wave has calmed down. Cool. So you've been one of the people that I know, and I think a lot of people know, I've been in ASO since the birth of the industry for about 10 years or so, no?
Yeah, more or less. So the thing is, I jumped on the App Store hype back in 2011, to be exact. And I was dealing with App Store specifically, news concerning Apple, stuff like that, even some kind of jailbreaking stuff. But then I switched from copywriting, social media, SEO to ASO because I liked it more and it was kind of fresh thing back in the day, like 2012, 2013. And yeah, I've been working in the ASO field since then. So for like 9 years already.
Cool. Can you walk us through a bit through your career? Like which companies did you work for? Which industries?
I started at a game development company called Megarama. It's actually a Tel Aviv-based company, so you might know the guys.
Yeah.
I had the pleasure to work with David and the team for, I guess, 3 years, growing from totally junior ASO guy to a team lead at some point. And then I switched to non-gaming genres, and I worked at, I don't know, up to 10 companies, probably from 2016 to 2019. And then I kind of settled with gaming again, working with G5 for half a year. And then I finally landed at Tilting Point, keeping the gaming genre.
Awesome. And how does ASO is structured in Tilting Point? Like, most people know the name, but how many games do you have? How kind of ASO is structured within the team?
When it comes to organics, we have more than 30 games in our portfolio right now. And we have, I guess, 7 people right now because we're constantly hiring and the number fluctuates a little bit. But a person handles usually 5 to 6 games.
Cool. And how does it relate to the user acquisition team? Like, what's the level of cooperation between the teams?
As high as possible, honestly. We have constant calls to catch-ups, like weekly, and we have all these Slack chats and whatever. So we keep in touch both with page UA, creatives, featuring. We try not to get siloed and work together as much as possible because obviously page UA influences organics a lot. And when it comes to creatives, we want to be consistent in a way.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a question I keep getting from people that listen to these episodes in this podcast, which is measurement of ASO. Basically, they're and you have a lot of perspective on it. Like there's good metrics and good KPIs to measure ASO, and there's bad ones. Could you talk a bit about how you see ASO measurement and how it can be done in a good way?
I would say that downloads is the good one, is the kind of North Star for us. We use conversion rates, organic revenue, impressions, page views as well, but they're kind of helping categories, I would say helping metrics, but we mostly measure installs. And the way we do that, that's a totally different topic. It might take an hour or even more because you can measure traffic from the consoles directly. You can set up custom dashboards. That's what we are having right now at Tilting Point. And then there's questions like how much does UH influence organics, the featurings, I don't know, suddenly crash rates or whatever, something went wrong with the release. A huge chunk of organic traffic is counted as Google ads or vice versa. So if you see organic traffic in Google Play Console, it doesn't mean it is totally organic. It's mixed.
For sure.
So yeah, we are doing our best to get the clear organic picture and to measure and improve on that.
Awesome. I know that you guys are investing a lot in in-app events, and it's 2022 now. We started the year with a lot of different tools that ASO folks didn't have in 2021. In-app events was the first that came out. Custom product pages came out towards really the end of December. And adoption of it is still being rolled out in terms of ad network supporting the usage of the custom product pages. And lastly, product page optimization, the ability to A/B test natively on your default App Store product page. So let's focus a bit on in-app events. Could you walk me through the value you see in adopting in-app events and using them, and how you approach, implementing in-app events?
Yeah, so overall, we're trying to stay on top of what's going on in the industry by communicating to Apple and Google directly, as well as reading for some blogs, ASO Stack, whatever it is, different resources. And as you know, in-app events were introduced back in June at WWDC. So we kind of made a check mark for us that it's happening at some point and we should be ready. And when it was introduced at the end of October, like October 22nd, I guess, was on Friday. On Monday, we actually had almost the whole team together here in Barcelona office, and we brainstormed. We enabled in-app events for our Tilting Points account. And within 3 days, we prepared 9 in-app events and pushed them to the store the day it went live on 27th.
Wow.
And yeah, 4 of those 9 events were featured by Apple, probably because we were one of the first and they had some placeholders for that. So they pushed us to be featured, and we had some amazing results. Even though they didn't roll out the analytics at the time, they did it last week, I guess. Yeah. We measured the impact by simply subtracting the uplift from the consoles and calculating the uplift for impressions and the downloads, which was quite substantial for some games.
Yeah, it was. Was it through browse traffic or search traffic or both?
I think it was browse traffic mostly, or even 100%, just because the way it is.
They are indexed in search in-app events, so I'm wondering. Now there's the analytics to show it, and to filter data in App Store Connect by in-app event. But I just wonder if you saw any kind of impact on search.
It was less than browse for sure, and we'll still kind of investigating. We don't see a huge uplift in keyword positions or search traffic specifically, but there is a portion of search traffic.
Awesome. So let's turn into the creative side of it. What's your what was your approach in terms of choosing which events to promote? I mean, probably some of them are in-app events that are happening through the live ops team. But how do you approach like identifying events that are good candidates for in-app events on the App Store, and then preparing the creatives and the title and the description for these events?
So we have a roadmap of events, and when they were first launched, it was Halloween, obviously. So we had this prepared for all of the games, and we just slapped the creatives onto the store and launched those. But usually we have the roadmap for 2-3 months in advance. We do our best to keep the developers informed and stay in touch with them to get the creatives, the metadata, whatever is needed, the in-game content in a timely manner. And when it's time, we just prepare the event in advance, because it might take some time now for it to get approved, like up to 1 week or even more. And we just make sure it is approved, and when it's time, we release it to the store.
Cool. And what's really interesting there now with the data is that you can see like the impact on re-downloads and new downloads as well, like how it, because if you think about events as like new content for the game, one of the key benefits of doing that is to re-engage lapsed users that once played the game, but either they just churned. I mean, they played through enough of it and there wasn't any new content, and now there's new content. And there could be also impact for new downloads as they see the event as like a compelling event to why they should install now the game. So that's going to be pretty cool to measure with the analytics. I know it just rolled out, but that's going to be nice. There's another capability with in-app events, which is you can produce a link that sends user directly to an in-app event card when it's open. Do you use that in any innovative way? Like I heard a few developers that are leveraging that in terms of like actually running a campaign that leads people to an in-app event, or using it through cross promotion. Did you have any experiments around that?
I don't think we had any cross promotion, but we use the direct links to the event, and it helps a lot for tracking
in UA campaigns. Oh, cool. And you saw the performance. How's the performance of those?
I don't have the exact numbers right now, but it's okay. It's good.
Cool.
In general, yeah.
Awesome. And what do you think about the other features that the App Store has released around ASO, with like custom product pages that just been rolled out, and A/B testing through product page optimization natively on the default product pages? I do know that there's some mixed feelings amongst the community around that A/B testing functionality. What are your thoughts?
First of all, it is revolutionary that they finally released this, and you can actually natively A/B test on the platform and improve your conversion and attract different kinds of users for the same product by using custom product pages. But as you mentioned, we have mixed results and mixed feelings. We were able to successfully test some stuff, but as you know, you can only test things until you release a new version. So when you release a new version, you need to stop the test and run it again when the build is live. So there are some shortcomings, but hopefully Apple will work on that in the future, later this year. And for custom product pages, yes, we are looking into this iron source solution, but unfortunately, not the whole portfolio uses iron source. So for that, there are some third-party solutions emerging on the market that allow to connect Facebook to custom product pages and redistribute traffic and do some more flexible stuff. So we're looking into that and planning to use it full force in Q1 2022 and beyond.
Yeah, I think that most ad networks will support it, given that, first of all, Iron Source already did it, and they're kind of the first, so all other ad networks would want to be in like feature parity with Iron Source, and search ads is going to adopt custom product pages, and they'll allow you to have a custom product page connected to each search ad campaign. It's still unclear at which level, if it's going to be at the ad set level or the ad level, but you're going to be able to use CPPs, as we call them, with search ads. So eventually, I see that in the next few weeks, maybe a couple of months, pretty much every ad network will allow you to set up a campaign and use a custom product page instead of the default one. There's a big question around who owns it. Like in Tilting Point, is it under ASO or under UA? Like it requires kind of a close partnership between the two teams, as the UA team would view it as a part of the campaign. Like you can have a very holistic creative experience by matching the creatives on the product page with those on the ad. And but on the other hand, the team that understands the most about how to convert users in the App Store is the ASO team. So how are you dealing with this? Who owns CPPs?
Yeah, exactly. There should be a close connection, and this is both on UA and ASO from both sides, but at Tilting Point, mostly organic team owns the process. We obviously right now don't have enough experience in setting this up, and we're running smoothly, but we're going there. We work closely with UA, and actually that was one of the points in getting our communication better and closer in 2021, just because of this feature we're coming up.
Awesome. I think there's another aspect to it, which is it's also another update in App Store Connect, but using CPPs, like going for a sec to the UA team, they have a huge challenge of measuring and attributing their UA campaigns because of the deprecation of the IDFA. Like what they could do before was to measure in a deterministic way the return on ad spend for each one of their campaigns, ad sets, and ad creatives through an MMP like AppsFlyer or Just. After the deprecation of the IDFA, that capability has been deteriorating pretty rapidly. Some attribution companies have offered probabilistic attribution, but it's way less accurate than it was. And some of them are leveraging fingerprinting technologies that Apple technically banned, but they're still they still didn't start to enforce it really aggressively. So some folks have been utilizing that. That doesn't work in self-attributing networks such as Facebook and Snapchat and TikTok. So traffic there is even harder to measure. And then Apple is releasing custom product pages, and within App Store Connect, allowing you to filter data by custom product page. And in the case that you're monetizing through in-app purchases, you're actually able to see sales on an aggregated level by custom product page. And if you know which kind of traffic and which campaign is hitting a custom product page, you get attribution back at an aggregated level. So I think the UA teams around the world are really interested in regaining some of their visibility into the performance of UA campaign by utilizing custom product pages. Not even starting to think about the increases to conversion rate you can achieve by matching the creatives between the custom product page and the ad creative, but just by getting that pretty accurate measurement through Apple. And I think the reason that Apple did that was to kind of give back to developers some kind of tools and visibility into their marketing performance, their paid marketing performance at least, because they didn't have any beef with UA teams measuring the effectiveness of their UA campaigns. Their beef was with ad networks such as Facebook. Facebook was the main one, kind of building user graphs based on user data and using it for targeting. That's where their problem was. And they declared war on that, not on the ability to measure return on ad spend. So I think that UA teams would demand, I would, at least from conversation that I have, that they'll use custom product pages across all their UA campaigns, even if it's the same creative. Like some teams are just duplicating custom product pages using the same creatives, but just using it as a measurement methodology. So that's pretty cool. Could you what are your thoughts in terms of the creative strategy for custom product pages? Like, how do you think which kind of different messaging you should employ in different pages?
Yeah, we kind of created a framework for that, and we have a lot of ideas actually for different type of games genres that we have in our portfolio, and we just starting to roll this out as we setting up the custom product pages and the whole Facebook traffic thing. But for games, it is mostly highlighting different features to different kinds of users for us. We want to test that first.
How do you identify? Can you give us like an example of like what do you mean by different features, and how do you develop hypotheses as to which feature would drive the most of which audience to install? Like,
so when we start working on a game, we develop a couple of personas, if that is possible for a game. And there are achievers, there are communicators, there are like usually up to 5, I guess, different types of players that play the same game. And though if you don't get into the nitty-gritty, you just follow the whole flow, you might think it's just the same type of user, which is actually not. And different people, different kinds of users have different goals, and they enjoy the games in a different way. So some people just go there to chat with the friends, do some raids or whatever it is, the gameplay. Some people just want to chill while watching Netflix. Some people want to be first in a leaderboard no matter what, spend thousands of dollars playing match 3 games, or different cases. And we tested that kind of stuff for both Google Play and iOS, mostly for iOS on testing platforms, third-party testing platforms like Storemaven. And we saw good results for different user types, as well as, we set up different traffic campaigns with different creatives at the beginning. So the user flows were different. And we want to try to replicate this on custom product pages now.
Yeah, it's really cool to see how, like, I'm lucky to be on the forefront. We've been working on like a few different solutions around how do you identify, which networks and which campaigns, and until the sub publisher level, basically, which games they're coming from to your product page, and how do you understand which audience is coming from where. And to do that, there's like a massive amount of work needed and a lot of data science. But basically, in a nutshell, if you can break down all of your paid UA campaigns by contextual funnels, I'm not talking about like categories in the App Store, because then it will show, of course, that everybody's coming through hyper casual. But let's talk about, an audience. You can learn a lot about an audience from just understanding which games they're playing and right now, and where did they come from to your product page. So a contextual funnel could look like match 3 themed games with a detective theme, or just any kind of theme, like garden
even
scale.
RPG elements.
Yeah, even RPG elements. Yeah, and all these kind of fusions, it tells you a lot about the audience that play these kind of games. A lot more than you can just say about people that play casual games or mid-core games. And if you break it down at that level, you can identify different funnels, which campaigns and ad networks are driving these audiences to your product page, through which campaigns, basically. And then you can implement custom product pages with the matching themes to these places. It requires a lot of work, and there's there's a lot of data science, and it's really tough to do this on a manual level, because you need to export all of the data from either your MMP or App Store Connect. And we developed such a tool called Funnel Analytics, and there's a few dozen companies that have started using this, and they see amazing success in identifying in which campaigns they should implement which custom product page to maximize conversion rate and the return on ad spend. So that's pretty cool, because I think it looking forward in 2022, I think it's really exciting for ASO folks, because it's like the way that marketing used to be. It's like thinking about the audiences, why they actually want to install or play my games, or an app, if you're an app person, and then connecting the messaging to that. And that's after years and years that the UA teams have been used to basically give $1 to Facebook and get back a quality user. And they had no idea how they reached that user. Like they didn't have to think about targeting and so on. Just threw creatives into Facebook and other ad networks and let the machine, driven by user level data, to work and do its optimization. That doesn't work anymore. So the ASO team, knowing audiences in an intimate level, like the way that you described, is really going to drive a lot of performance for acquisition in general, including to the UA team. So it's inspiring to see that the UA team and ASO team in Tilting Point is working so close together. I think it can be an inspiration to other teams to follow suit, because without that close relationship and the knowledge that exists in the ASO team, and the ability to deploy new campaigns and new custom product pages that's within the UA team, without combining these two, it'll be very hard to realize that value of custom product pages. And for folks, and there's already companies with Iron Source, that first adopter of CPPs on the network side. For companies using that right now, the results are mind-boggling. Like I can't share any numbers, but it's the kind of uplifts they saw in conversion rates and return on ad spend are insane. And we knew this for years because we've tested how different audiences respond to different creatives on the App Store side for many, many years. So we know the kind of difference that exists there.
Yeah, I think that's also a sign of maturing of the industry, ASO industry specifically, because the way we do stuff and the whole scope of work and the amount of things that we need to pay attention to is much broader than it was like 2-3 years earlier. So if previously you were doing like A/B testing and updating metadata and do some localizations, now it's much broader. Like it's the whole bouquet of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. It's a really exciting time to be in ASO. In acquisition in general and organic acquisition specifically, it's really fascinating. And I'd have no doubts the companies and teams that will be able to understand that side of the acquisition funnel, the organic side, and leveraging all of these tools will be the teams that will win in 2022. It's going to be a pretty big competitive advantage based on the understanding of their audiences and the understanding of creatives in general. So that's pretty cool. We talked about the data side. Can you dig in a bit more around of what's your data stack? Like, how are you measuring these results? We talked about data coming in through Aptor Connect, and you mentioned custom dashboards. How are things set up in Tilting Point? Because I know there's a huge measurement problem right now, mostly around organics and teams that used to look at these things solely on the MMP side.
Yeah, so it's still a bit complicated, but we do our best to get the realistic data and not to play with smoke and mirrors, but get the concrete data on the subject. And first of all, it should be measurable. And second, we should be able to build upon that and see actual improvements. So for that, we're using a custom solution based on Looker, and we pull in data through APIs, through the consoles, to our dashboard, clean the data as we go, and have the much more easily digestible view, I would say, because if you have 10 plus games you need to work with and you have two separate consoles and you need to filter the view for each game, it takes like the whole day to go through this stuff. And when you have the unified thing, you just click through the games, see what's up, it's going down, it's going up. You just have a quick look. You can go in detail if you want, and you can adjust your strategy based on that.
So talking about strategy, there's a lot of forces that influence organic growth and downloads and impressions. I know that you're focusing a lot on this relationship between paid and organic, but what Can you describe like the kind of influencing powers on organic that you see are the most effective to drive more organic downloads?
Actually, I spent a good chunk of 2021 creating the organic performance best practices. This is a kind of a presentation for our partners and actually for internal use. And we think about publishing this for a broader audience in 2022. So what we did is we took all the parameters that are available on the App Store and made correlations between them to figure out which factors influence the organics the most. And we kind of created a short list of those things based on the correlation. The strongest correlations, the more important. Yeah. Surprise, UA has a lot of correlation with organic traffic. For both stores.
Yeah, that's kind of through, like, for folks that are a bit unfamiliar with that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like my view on it is that it's through an increase in ranking, both on the keyword side and on the top chart side, because of UA influences first-time downloads, which builds into, it's one of the more important factors in the way that the store algorithm works and decides which app to rank first.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Cool. And besides paid UA?
So another thing that is important for both stores is the ANRs and crash rates. And I don't remember the exact numbers, but there's a bad behavior threshold. I guess for ANRs on Play Store is 0.47. If you're above that, that's a kind of a signal for you to fix things. If it's higher than 1%, you start getting featured less. And if it's higher than 1% or even higher than 1.5% for a long period of time, you essentially lose the good chunk or almost all of the browse traffic you have.
Yeah, that's really interesting to think about how the ASO practice has evolved. That now you have to, if you don't monitor like ANRs and crash rates over time as an ASO person, you're basically not doing everything you can to improve organics. So like product metrics that you have to look at, something that was nobody thought about like a few years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff that also matters, especially on Google Play side, is the app size, because there are lots of emerging markets where Android is dominant and people just don't have good enough connections, but they actually want to play games and spend money. So the better job you do at optimizing your game, the higher chances you have to be downloaded.
Awesome. These are really good points.
Yeah, hopefully with all the changes on the stores, we'll have some time to shape it up and publish the organic best practices for broader audience in 2022.
Awesome. I'm sure that a lot of people would be excited to read that. So running a bit out of time, so I want to ask you a few questions that we ask all of our guests before we finish for today. If you could give one tip to somebody like an aspiring mobile growth marketer, maybe somebody that wants to get into organic acquisition or ASO today, what would it be?
So from what I see right now, the competition is actually huge between aspiring marketers. And one thing that people are lacking oftentimes is the lack of practice. So jump on an app or a game as soon as you have a chance. Theory is good, but unless you're familiar with the consoles and do some hands-off stuff, measure that, improve, and do this daily, you can't really be a professional.
Great tip. What's your favorite mobile growth resource? Like kind of a content recommendation to folks?
If I have to pick one, that would be Mobile Dev Manual, because Eric posts a tremendous amount of useful info there. And they also have a couple of resources based on that, like QuantMar, MGM, Slack Team. speaking of Slack, there's an ASO Stack community founded by Feature. Highly recommend to join and follow the professionals, join the discussions. It's pretty active, probably the biggest ASO community.
Yeah.
Thomas Petit, Sylvain Gouchet, follow them on Twitter, on LinkedIn, mostly on Twitter, I guess. And from there, you'll get a lot of recommendations. Like there are dozens of good people to follow. And once you follow a couple of them, you'll be good.
Yeah, that's I highly recommend following Thomas and Sylvain. Sylvain is pretty active on LinkedIn. Thomas is more on Twitter, but he shares like a ton of insights there on LinkedIn constantly.
Yeah.
Cool. And almost last question. Given that we're in mobile growth and pancakes, what's your favorite flavor of pancake?
Something sweet, I guess. So that could be banana or strawberry. I can't decide between those two.
Banana and put them together. Bananas and strawberries. It's a good combo.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
Cool. And lastly, if people want to reach out to you to talk about ASO insights, learning from you, just talking about the industry or life, where can they find you?
Mostly on LinkedIn, and I'm trying to catch up on ASO Stack as much as possible.
Cool. Awesome. All right, that's been it's been a pleasure. I learned I learned a lot, and it's been fascinating. And it's always fascinating talking with people that have such a big perspective on an industry. Like you've been in ASO since really the early days, and you saw how it was evolved. So I think people can learn a lot from you.
Perspective, these days,
for sure. Cool. So I'll chat with you soon. But thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks for inviting me. Have a great one.
Thanks. You too.
And that was Mobile Growth and Pancakes. To find out more about Storemaven and how we can improve App Store performance, visit storemaven.com. And then make sure to search for Mobile Growth and Pancakes in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found, and click subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. On behalf of the team here at Storemaven, thanks for listening.